All right, I will call the Finance Committee meeting to order after really dark. So, oh, it's not dark out. Oh my gosh. I lost a whole day. Welcome. Thank you for waiting for us. Appreciate your time. And would the secretary please call the roll?
Senator Canizaro, Senator Goycochea, Senator Harris, Senator Neal, Senator Nguyen, Senator Severs-Gansert, Senator Titus, Chair Dondero-Loop.
Here. Thank you very much. And would you please mark Senator Titus excused and Senator Canizaro present when she arrives. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Thorley for Senate Bill 159.
Did you want to? They said they got 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Mr. Hardy, would you like to take 30 seconds? All right, you're up, buddy. It's your time to shine.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Warren Hardy, I like what you've done with the place. It looks good. Am I supposed to, would you like me to address the policy at all or just speak specifically to the fiscal note? So there was a large fiscal note. As the bill was originally drafted, the bill contemplated creating a temporary licensure for pest management applications. We subsequently amended the bill to request that the Department of Agriculture adopt regulations instead of going through the process of creating a temporary licensure scheme. And that was enough to remove the fiscal note. So there's been an amended fiscal note to 0 from the Department of Agriculture.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, you did a banner job. Thank you very much, and thank you for waiting for us again. I will call for anyone in support on Senate Bill 159. Nobody in Las Vegas? Anybody online, BPS?
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers on the line to offer testimony for SB 159.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition. Anybody here in Carson City? Anybody in Las Vegas? Anybody online, BPS?
Thank you, Chair. The public lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to neutral. Carson City, Las Vegas, BPS, it's your turn.
Thank you, Chair. The lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Okay, so with that, I will close the hearing and we will be taking a vote on these at the very end. So you're excused, Mr. Hardy. Thank you very much. And we'll go on to Senate Bill 167. And Mr. Thorley, please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 167 prohibits the imposition of step therapy protocol for drugs prescribed to treat a psychiatric condition in certain circumstances. The PEB, Public Employees Benefits Program, originally submitted a fiscal note on March 3rd with a fiscal impact of $20,000 per year related to increased costs. The bill was amended by the Senate as now with the first reprint, the Public Employees Benefit Program has submitted a new fiscal note indicating that there no longer is a fiscal impact on this bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, then I will close the hearing. I'm sorry. I don't see anybody who wishes to. Is anybody here from PEB? I don't see anybody.
Just support, opposition, or neutral.
Okay. You know, you'd think I hadn't done this before. Okay, I'll call all those in support. In Carson City and Las Vegas, BPS on the line.
Thank you, Chair. The lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer testimony in support of SB 167 at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, online, BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer opposition testimony to SB 167 at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and BPS when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The lines are open and working, but there are no callers to offer a neutral testimony to SB 167 at this time.
Thank you very much. And now I will close the hearing and we will go on to Senate Bill 237. Mr. Thorley, go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 237 requires the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Public and Behavioral Health, to support the implementation of the 988 hotline by supporting the establishment and maintenance of crisis stabilization center hospitals. The bill authorizes the State Board of Health to adjust the 35-cent monthly surcharge on certain communication lines by regulation not more frequently than once every 5 years, and requires telecommunications companies to report certain information to the Department of Health and Human Services. On March 8th, the Public Utilities Commission submitted a fiscal note on the bill as introduced, indicating an approximately $40,000 per year fiscal impact for position costs. The bill was subsequently amended by the Senate. On April 20th, the Public Utilities Commission submitted another fiscal note indicating there would no longer be a fiscal impact based on the first reprint of the bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Harris, if you'd like to make some comments, please.
Thank you, Chair Dondera Loop and members of the Finance Committee. I just wanted to also bring to your attention that I have submitted a conceptual amendment that moves the effective date for collecting the fee to 30 days after passage and approval at the request of some of the companies that will be assessed this fee to give them adequate time to notice their customers. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions for the senator? Senator Gansert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'd had some conversations before about the escalator that would be evaluated every 5 years, so you're leaving that in there?
Yes, that's the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions for the senator? All right. With that, then we will go to testimony in support. Anyone in Carson City? Seeing no one in Las Vegas, we'll go to the lines. BPS?
Chair, the lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer testimony in support of SB 237 at this time.
Thank you very much. We will go to opposition. Carson City? Go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. Misty Grimmer representing Cox Communications. We have worked with the senator a great deal on SB 237, and we've had lots of conversation. It's been very congenial, and I appreciate that from Senator Harris. We do appreciate this amendment. This is an important amendment for all of the carriers to have some time to effectuate this bill so that we can put it into our billing process. We do still have some concerns with the CPI, the roll-up portion of the fee. We understand this is an important bill for the budget process, and we have some concerns that that may be a challenge in the budget process. And there is also, and I'm sorry, I don't have the bill in front of me, senators and chairwoman. There's also a section in the bill that references using the fee to build hospitals. And it's our understanding that to basically build the facilities for the treatment. And it's our understanding that, thanks, Jeanette. It's our understanding, the way that we read, the way that the federal 988 approval was designed, that it wasn't actually intended for the actual building of facilities. It was actually intended for the standing up of the 988 line and the crisis response that would come from that line, but not necessarily for all of the follow-up care. So we do still have some concerns with that portion of the bill. And so we would look forward to continuing to work with the committee on finding some solutions to that.
Senator Gansard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, about standing up facilities, so is that prohibited by the feds under this fee, use of this fee?
Thank you for the question, Senator Gansert. Misty Grimmer for the record. The way that we read, the way that the federal law approved the 988 fee and suggested it to be approved by states, that it really was just for the standing up of the actual phone line and the crisis response to the phone line, but not necessarily all of the follow-up care that might happen after that. And so the way that we read the section in the law, in the amendment that would include the building of facilities, we don't read the bill to actually, the federal law to support the funding of those with this fee.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's not prohibited. It's just a belief that it should be used for the line and for some crisis response support.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader, Mr. Grimmer, for the record. I suppose that is correct. So it would still obviously be up to the legislature to decide how these fees can be used.
I have a follow-up question.
Please.
Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. And this may be a question for confirmation from fiscal staff. My understanding of this particular hearing, which we just had maybe a week ago, and that we did, and I think I even asked this particular question of DHHS, the way that the budget is currently built, the 28 million or so that would come as a result of this fee in the governor's recommended budget is not just for the 988 line, it is also for crisis response, and it is also to support the crisis response centers. That is how I recollect the subcommittee closing and the answer from the Department of Health and Human Services. And so I just wanted to confirm that the way that the governor's recommended budget and the vote of the subcommittee was to support, contingent upon the passage of this legislation, the building of the crisis centers plus the line and crisis response services with that 28 million.
Ms. Crockett, do you have a?
Kathy Crockett, Fiscal Analysis Division, for the record. Yes, that is my understanding of the approved budget as well.
Go ahead, please.
So if we are to change this, we would have to go back and change, the governor's recommended budget to remove the actual support and building and creation of these crisis support centers, is how I recall that testimony and that vote by the subcommittee.
Thank you very much. Senator Nguyen.
Did you want an answer to that? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Kathy Crockett, Fiscal Analysis Division. Yes, that is correct. They would collect a lesser amount of revenue and would need to scale back their program significantly.
Thank you very much. Senator Wynn.
I have a question. We were talking about the, oh my gosh, the accelerator provisions. Do you have any objections to that? I mean, it seems like this is already, these funds and the idea of them, we heard in the testimony on all these budgets that this is clearly not enough to, there's a greater need, I guess, out in the community for crisis stabilization centers, which I'm looking at the budget, and it's in the DPBH crisis response budget. I only remember it because I chaired that committee, and it's 3185. And so I know the governor has accounted over the biennium for $3,769,136 for crisis stabilization centers, and all of the agencies and localities testified that they would need more money. So do you have objections to giving that ability to collect more money for these crisis stabilization centers?
Misty Grimmer, representing Cox Communications. When the bill was heard in Health and Human Services, we did testify in support of the bill with the CPI roll-up. Because, and just speaking for Cox Communications, not for the entire telecommunications industry, we appreciate that piece of the bill would provide some predictability, and to be very frank with the committee, with the hope that we wouldn't have to revisit this fee over and over again. But even when this bill was proposed in 2021, we made it clear that we felt very strongly that a fee on telecommunications customers should be closely related to a telecommunications service. So similar to 911, similar to, to other services that are TTD, other things that are related to telecommunications communication. And 988 does roll into that in the respect of basically providing an access line for people who are in crisis. And so we do support the idea that the fee can be used for people who are in crisis to use their telecommunications device to seek relief. When the fee goes beyond that, that's when we start to question the nexus of the fee to actually what the service is being provided. So, as I said, in the original, when it was heard in Health and Human Services, from the perspective of Cox Communications, we're okay with that roll-up because it provides some predictability, but we still do, and we absolutely recognize the need. The need is huge, right? But the question is, how do you fund that need? And so we're okay with telecommunications fees funding the hotline, but then when you talk about the overall broad need of crisis response for people who are in need, I'm not sure that we're necessarily the avenue that all of that should be funded through. I hope, Senator, that answers your question.
It does. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? All right. Oh, Senator Gansert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm still not clear about the use of this fund from a legal standpoint, not the way that it's budgeted. It was represented to me that this can only be used for telecommunications, not for buildings, and I don't know if we need to get legal to answer that or who to answer that. I know it's built into the budget at a certain level, which produces about $15 million a year, but I still don't know if the federal dollars through this fee are meant to be used for buildings, and I need to get a clarification on that.
So I don't know that we have anybody here from legal. This is a fiscal committee, so, that will be dealt with on the other side. So that policy piece. So I think with that, if you don't mind, we'll go on to, I believe there's somebody else sitting at the table. And please go ahead when you're ready.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Omar Salcedo for the record, representing AT&T. Here, on behalf of AT&T, we've worked with Cox Communications and most of the other telecommunication companies with what we believe are moderate proposals for, as it relates to 988. I just wanted to say, for the sake of brevity, that we agree with all the comments that my colleague from Cox Communications made tonight. So just wanted to say that for the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So being that, I guess, this was anticipated, I guess, by the governor, is there a contemplation, would you guys be open to maybe sunsetting that provision and not allowing it to continue past a certain period of time?
Again, for the record, Omar Salcedo here on behalf of AT&T. I think that's a discussion that we can have. I know that we haven't had that robust discussion, but I don't want to represent for the rest of the telecommunication companies if we'd be comfortable with the sunset without discussing it with the rest of the companies.
Okay. Any additional questions? All right. Thank you to both of you. All right. I see no opposition in Las Vegas, so we'll go to the phone. Oh, sorry. Ms. Capero, I'm sorry, I almost skipped you. Thank you, go ahead. I'm used to 3 chairs being there. So thank you very much. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Chair and committee, this is Shelley Capurro representing Charter Communications. And we want to thank the sponsor of the bill for adding in our request of the 30 days beyond approval and passage for implementation. We very much appreciate that. We do still have very much concerns and opposition to the expansion of the use of the fee for facilities. And that's where we're at on that issue.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I don't see anyone in Las Vegas. We'll go to opposition on the phone lines. BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will go to neutral. Anybody in Carson City in neutral? Anybody, not seeing anybody in Las Vegas? BPS, when you're ready on the phone lines.
Thank you, Chair. The lines are open. However, there are no callers to offer neutral testimony at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll try and be very quick and brief. This is a budget implementation issue, and according to the governor's budget, in order to be able to use these funds for crisis stabilization centers, as is planned, we would need to make sure that it is crystal clear in our statute that the funds can be used in that way. That's what this bill does. As far as the CPI adjustment, I hope the committee has heard that the companies that this fee will be assessed on find that it will create a bit more stability in the program and a bit more certainty. And I think that that is the better way to do policy. Let's have this 2/3 issue one last time, so that we do not bring 988 crisis funding into the political fray each and every time that we need to provide additional funding. In 5 years, right now today, 35 cents isn't enough. In 5 years, 35 cents will definitely not be enough. And I am open to adding an amendment to make it very clear that the first adjustment cannot happen until 5 years from now. But the goal is to ensure that the numbers do not change for companies in less than 5 years. It'll go to the rulemaking process, NRS 233B. The people who this fee is assessed on will have an opportunity to comment. That regulation will have to come to LegCom, Legislative Commission, to be voted on before it's finalized. And I think that that is the better policy for the state, so that we're not thinking short term and we're funding this long term. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, if there are no more questions or comments on this bill, then we will go ahead and go to Senate Bill 275. I'm going to go ahead and have Mr. Thorley start and Mr. Daly, or Senator Daly, if you would like to make comments, you're welcome to. All right. Mr. Thorley, go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 275 requires the Housing Division of the Department of Business and Industry to calculate and publish on or before August 1st of each year the maximum annual rent increase percentage for a manufactured home park for the following fiscal year, amongst other provisions. As originally introduced, the Department of Business and Industry did have a fiscal note on the bill for position costs. However, the Senate did adopt an amendment. Subsequent to the adoption of the amendment, the Department of Business and Industry submitted a fiscal note on April 22nd indicating, as amended, the bill no longer has a fiscal impact on the department. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Any questions on Senate Bill 275? All right, seeing none, I will go to testimony. All those in support, if there's anyone in Carson City. Seeing none in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone lines. BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The lines are open. However, there are no callers to offer testimony in support of SB 275 at this time.
Thank you very much. Then we'll go to opposition. Anyone here in Carson City? Not seeing anyone in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone lines. BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral. Anybody here in Carson City? Seeing none in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone lines. BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. So we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 275, and we will go to Senate Bill 452, and I believe we have Mr. Nakamoto to present to us.
I get a nameplate and everything.
We're fancy around here.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I am Michael Nakamoto, Chief Principal Deputy Fiscal Analyst with the Fiscal Analysis Division of the Legislative Counsel Bureau, and I have been asked to present Senate Bill 452. As the usual reminder, as nonpartisan LCB staff, I do not support nor oppose legislation. I am here to provide information about the bill, as well as to answer any questions to the best of my ability. Senate Bill 452 deals with the governmental services tax, and specifically a portion that is currently dedicated to the state general fund. And to get to that point, I've got a little bit of a history lesson to how we got to this point. So when the tax known as the GST, or the governmental services tax, was created in Senate Bill 256 of the 1963 session, it was exclusively a local government source. Basically, the tax was put in place as a replacement for personal property tax on vehicles. So the only recipients of the tax were counties or local governments, cities, counties, and so on, as well as school districts. One of the things that the tax also did at the time, and which continues to be a feature of it, is the way that the tax is structured. The rate is 4%. And is based on the manufacturer's suggested retail price of the vehicle at the time that the vehicle was first introduced for sale in the state without any options, and then that is multiplied by a 35%, and then a depreciation factor is applied to it. And as the depreciation factor was introduced, and as it continued for several decades after its introduction, new vehicles had a depreciation factor of 100%. So there was no reduction. And this is for cars, all the way down to a minimum of 5% for vehicles that are 9 years old or older. For buses, trucks, or tractor trailers that have a weight of 10,000 pounds or more, there was a similar structure. New vehicles of that type were at 100%. So there was no depreciation all the way down to those vehicles that were 10 years old or older, which had a depreciation rate of 13%. So that is the way that the tax was levied. So in 2009, and it was Senate Bill 429 of the 2009 session, there was a decision by the legislature to increase the depreciation factor on all types of vehicles for all ages of vehicles as well, between 1 year and all the way down the depreciation schedule. So there was no effect on the new vehicles. They still remained at 100%. But all the vehicles that were 1 year old or older had that depreciation factor increased from where they were before by 10%. And then the increment from that 10% piece was dedicated to the state general fund effective September 1st, 2009. The decision by the legislature in SB 429 of the 2009 session was to have that incremental amount dedicated to the state general fund for fiscal year 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013, and then beginning in FY 2014 and for all future fiscal years, the revenue was to be dedicated to the state highway fund. In 2013, the legislature decided to extend the distribution of these proceeds to the state general fund for FY 2014 and FY 2015 through the passage of Assembly Bill 491 that session. And then beginning in FY 2016 under that bill, the proceeds would then go to the state highway fund. I'm sure you know where this is going, but in Senate Bill 483 of the 2015 session, the legislature changed the distribution again, deciding to keep the proceeds 100% in the state general fund in FY 2016. Then in FY 2017, it would be a 50-50 split. 50% of the proceeds would go to the state highway fund, 50% to the state general fund, and then in FY 2018 and going forward, 100% of the proceeds would go to the state highway fund. In Assembly Bill 486 of the 2017 session, the legislature decided to extend the provisions again and actually change the distribution beginning in FY 2018 to what it is now. 25% to the state general fund and 75% to the state highway fund for FY 2018 and 19, and then in FY 2020, 100% of the proceeds would go to the state highway fund. In Senate Bill 541 of the 2019 session, they changed it again to make that distribution permanent. The FY 2019 distribution of 25% to the state general fund, 75% to the state highway fund, that became a permanent distribution beginning in FY 2020. And that is how the distribution has been every year since, with the exception of FY 21 in Senate Bill 3 of the 31st special session back in July of 2020 to deal with the effects of the pandemic. The decision was made by the legislature to have 100% of the proceeds go to the state general fund and then revert it back to the current distribution of 25% to the state general fund, 75% to the state highway fund, beginning in FY 2022. Simply put, Senate Bill 452 that is before you today will take that 25% that is currently dedicated to the state general fund, and beginning in FY 2024, it would move it to the state highway fund, making sure that 100% of these proceeds are dedicated to the state highway fund beginning on July 1st, 2023. Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'd be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, questions. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Why can't the legislature make up its mind?
Michael Nakamoto with the Fiscal Analysis Division.
You can take
for the
the
record.
fifth, Mr. Nakamoto.
I have no comment whatsoever.
Senator Ganser.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the fiscal note on this is about 25 million a year, is that correct? So about 50 million would be redirected from the general fund back to the highway fund?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to Senator Sievers-Ganser, Michael Nakamoto for the record. The Economic Forum at its meeting on Monday approved forecasts for this portion of the GST of $27,572,000 in FY24 and $28,256,000 in FY25. That would be the amount of revenue that would be transferred from the state general fund to the state highway fund if this bill were passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments or questions? Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Nakamoto. I think you just gave me my argument for against tax abatements. Thank you.
Again, no comment.
There is one smart man. Any additional questions or comments from the committee? All right. With that, thank you very much for your time this evening, and we will go into testimony in support. Please come forward in Carson City. Go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Alexis Motorex, representing the Nevada Chapter Associated General Contractors, representing commercial construction in Northern Nevada. We very much appreciate this bill. It's been a long time coming, and we are in full support and urge your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Levitt, please go ahead when you're ready. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Glenn Levitt with the Nevada Contractors Association. We are in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, Kanani Espinoza, representing the American Council of Engineering Companies, the Nevada chapter. We are in full support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional support here in Carson City? Anybody in Las Vegas? Seeing none, we'll go to the phone lines. BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. Lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer testimony in support of SB 4 at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, we will go to opposition. Anyone in Carson City? Anyone in Las Vegas? BPS, phone lines when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral. Here in Carson City? Las Vegas, BPS, phone lines when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, I will close the hearing on the bill and we'll move into work session. Mr. Thorley, when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will present work session on all 5 bills that were just heard by the committee today. I'll start with Senate Bill 159. Senate Bill 159 requires the Director of the State Department of Agriculture to adopt regulations to authorize a person to train as an applicator to engage in pest control activities for a period of not less than 90 days without holding a license as an applicator. There's no longer, with the amendment that was adopted by the Senate, there is no longer a fiscal impact on the Department of Agriculture. Mr. Hardy presented the bill shortly, just a little while ago. And there was no testimony in support, opposition, or neutral. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. With that, I'll accept a motion from Senator Cannizzaro. So moved. Second from Senator Harris. Any discussion on the bill? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And we will go on to Senate Bill 167. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 167 prohibits the imposition of step therapy protocol for drugs prescribed to treat a psychiatric condition in certain circumstances. There's no longer fiscal impact on the bill with the amendment as adopted by the Senate. There was no testimony offered in support, opposition, or neutral.
Thank you very much. I'll accept a motion on the bill. Senator Cannizzaro. Second from Senator Harris. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. We will go on to Senate Bill 237.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 237 requires the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Public and Behavioral Health to support the implementation of the 988 hotline by supporting the establishment and maintenance of crisis stabilization center hospitals. The bill authorizes the State Board of Health to adjust the 35-cent monthly surcharge on certain communication lines by regulation not more frequently than once every 5 years, and requires telecommunications companies to report certain information to the Department of Health and Human Services. As amended, there's no longer a fiscal impact on the bill from the Public Utilities Commission. Senator Harris did present a conceptual amendment to provide that all provisions of the bill other than the report described in subsection 2 of section 4 of the bill become effective 30 days after passage and approval. There was no testimony offered in support. There was testimony in opposition from Cox Communications, AT&T, Charter Communications, and no testimony offered in neutral. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And with that, I will accept a motion from Senator Canizaro, a second from... Sorry. Senator Canizaro, motion, amend and do pass. And second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion? Senator Gansert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be a no on this because the escalator is still on there, though it was requested to be removed, and also because I don't have clarity on whether the federal statute or law allows the use for crisis centers.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, any other comment or discussion? Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay from Senator Gansert and Senator Gokachia. Motion passes. Thank you very much. We'll go on to Senate Bill 275.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 275 requires the Housing Division of the Department of Business and Industry to calculate and publish on or before August 1st of each year the maximum annual rent increase percentage for a manufactured home park for the following fiscal year. With the amendment that was adopted by the Senate previously in session, there is no longer a fiscal impact on the Department of Business and Industry. There was no testimony offered in support, opposition, or neutral. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll accept a motion from Senator Canizaro, second from Senator Harris. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Gansert?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be a no on this bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any additional discussion? Senator Gokachia?
I also will be, just because it is rent control.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, seeing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Senator Gansert and Senator Gokachia. Motion passes, and we will move on to Senate Bill 452.
Senate Bill 452 would allocate all proceeds from the basic tax for governmental services imposed on vehicles into the highway fund. Under current law, 25% of the proceeds from the tax are allocated to the general fund, and the remaining 75% is allocated to the highway fund. The bill was presented by Mr. Nakamoto from the LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Mr. Nakamoto did not have an answer for why the legislature cannot make up its mind. There was testimony provided in support of the bill from the, I hope I got the names right, General Contractors Association, NV Contractors, I didn't catch the other one, 3 individuals. There was no testimony in opposition or neutral. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Mr. Nakamoto. And I will accept a motion from Senator Wynn and a second from Senator Neal. And any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And with that, we will go to the last thing on our agenda, and that is public comment. Is there anyone here in Carson City, Las Vegas, BPS on the lines?
Thank you, Chair. The lines are open. However, there are no callers to offer public comment at this time.
Thank you very much. And before we close the meeting, I would like to just give a little shout out to Abby Bernhardt and her mom, Erica Friedenberg, who is in the audience. And Abby is currently the Miss Nevada, Virginia City, and has been instrumental in helping with our mental health bills. So thank you very much, Abby, for being here tonight, and Mom. Thank you very much. And with that, I will close our meeting. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.